The summer of gaming rumors, reveals, and releases is here, and 2023 is shaping up to be one of the best years in gaming we've had in a long time. A lot of great games have already released, and there are a ton that are still on their way later this year. This is my first YouTube video, and I thought a great way to get to know me would be by sharing my favorite games that I played last year. These didn't necessarily release in 2022, but I did play them during that year. So let's jump straight into it with my top 10 games that I played in 2022. Starting with number 10, Modern Warfare 2. You already know what Call of Duty is, so I won't bother explaining. Modern Warfare 2 has a lot of mixed opinions from fans and streamers, but in my opinion, this one is a lot of fun after they iron out the bugs from launch. There's a lot of weapons and a lot of good maps, and recent updates to DMZ and Resurgence have been really fun with friends. It's a great game for when you want to just kick back and slay. I still play this one weekly. Number 9, Forager. Forager is an indie game that came out a few years ago. You play as this little guy and you harvest items, craft stuff, fight enemies, and expand your land. At the start of the game, your island will just have some trees and rocks that you can hit, but as you level up and learn new skills, by the end of the game, you'll have automated lasers that do it for you. I recommend this for people who enjoy games like Minecraft, Factorio, Satisfactory, and others. It's not a game with unlimited replayability, but I played a ton of this over the span of a week or two, and I really enjoyed my time with it. The dev originally announced some updates such as multiplayer, but from what I can tell, the game is no longer receiving those updates. Number 8, Archvale. Archvale is a great co-op indie game that came out at the very end of 2021. I'd describe this game as a combination of old school Zelda and Enter the Gungeon. You explore the land looking for the pieces of the Archvale, which are found in dungeons across the world. As you fight enemies, you'll get money and find gear. You can then use that money you find to buy new gear or upgrade various pieces of equipment. There are 8 dungeons in all to beat, and the game is decently challenging. I really enjoyed playing through this with my wife over a long weekend. It's not really replayable unless you want to experiment with different weapon types. If they made a sequel to this and turn it into a roguelike game similar to Enter the Gungeon or Binding of Isaac, it would be amazing. Number 7, Lost Ark. Lost Ark is a Korean MMO that came out last year with great top-down action. Leveling in the story is pretty boring, but it has some great cutscenes on the way. The endgame and gearing may not be for everyone, but it was right up my alley. Once you get to endgame, you get materials to upgrade your gear from battle arenas, Monster Hunter-esque boss fights, really fun raids, and world events. This type of gameplay loop is very hit or miss with people, but I was addicted to this game. I put 400 hours into this game in the span of 2 to 3 months, so just for that fact alone, it made my list. Number 6, Death Stranding. Death Stranding is the Amazon delivery game. I bought this day one on PS4 and I couldn't really get into it. I tried it again last year on PC when it finally came to Game Pass, and I absolutely loved it. Fantastic landscapes, cool although very confusing cutscenes and story, with the satisfying gameplay loop on top of that. Delivering packages is very relaxing, but it quickly becomes suspenseful whenever the BTs show up. I cannot wait for DS2. Number 5, The Quarry. The Quarry is a choose-your-own-adventure horror game. This is from the same people who did Until Dawn and the Dark Pictures anthology, so if you've played those, you'll like this. This game is basically watching a 9 to 10 hour long slasher movie about a group of teens at summer camp. I really enjoyed my time with the game. When I played it, not many of the characters survived, so I do want to revisit this at a later time to try and get a better outcome. Number 4, The Binding of Isaac: Repentance. The Binding of Isaac is in my top 5 games of all time, and it is undoubtedly my favorite roguelike of all time. You play as Isaac and friends, and gameplay boils down to killing enemies, collecting upgrades, and fighting bosses. The beginning of the game is pretty limited, but as you play, you unlock more and more things. More upgrades, more bosses, more levels, more enemies, and the list keeps going. There's a constant sense of progression and always something you can work towards. At the very start of each run, you are weak, but by the end of the run, you can be destroying rooms in seconds. This game has a really satisfying sense of power when you get a broken build. I've put over 100 hours on PC and over 50 on Switch, and I only have a third of the things unlocked. Amazing game, amazing replayability, and I cannot wait for the creator's next game called Mugenics. Number 3. LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. The LEGO games are simple but fun, and this is the biggest one yet. You can play through all 9 of the main Star Wars movies, and you get to explore a ton of different planets. If you aren't a Star Wars fan, you probably will not like this game. When this was added to Game Pass, I was putting 4 or more hours a day into it. I had a lot of fun playing through the missions, getting collectibles, and just exploring the galaxy. Number 2. Elden Ring. Elden Ring was a lot of people's game of the year, and for a good reason. Dark Souls 1 is one of my top 5 games, and this is the series' first open world endeavor. It has the best of Dark Souls combat in an absolutely huge world that is jam-packed with tons of enemies, bosses, and secrets to find. I gotta be honest though, I did not finish Elden Ring. I found the open world to be very overwhelming. I'm a completionist, and this game does not seem to be for a completionist. When I play through a Dark Souls game, I play through it without looking at guides or spoilers, and so I found myself scrutinizing the smallest details on the map and scouring every nook and cranny in the world. Personally, for my playstyle, I like the tight, interconnected maps in the other Soulsborne games, as it just feels much more manageable for me. For example, in Elden Ring, I really enjoyed going through Stormveil Castle, as that was much more reminiscent of older Soulsborne level design. I do feel like Elden Ring is a fantastic game and well deserving of all the praise it got, and I do want to attempt another playthrough of this game at a later date. Next time I approach the game, I need to come to it with the mindset that I probably won't see everything during that playthrough. Before we get to number 1, here are some quick honorable mentions. Destiny 2: The Witch Queen, a great Destiny campaign, and it's fun if you like to keep up with the Destiny cycle. Forza Horizon 5: Hot Wheels, really cool expansion for Horizon. Even better if you like Hot Wheels. It was not as good as the LEGO expansion from Forza Horizon 4 in my opinion though. MLB The Show 22. This is the only sports franchise outside of the Mario sports games that I will play. 22 was pretty fun, and it helps that it's been going on Game Pass on day 1. Escape Academy. Very cool but short escape room game. Check it out if it's still on Game Pass or if it's on sale. Resident Evil 3. This was the first time I played through Resident Evil 3. It was a really good game, but it was only 5 or 6 hours long. It was also very similar to Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 was my game of the year when that came out, and I would definitely pick that over 3 if you haven't played either. And finally, we're ready for number 1, Monster Hunter Rise: Sunbreak. My favorite game that I played last year was Sunbreak. Monster Hunter has been one of my favorite series since I first played Monster Hunter Freedom on my PSP. The gameplay loop is fantastic. Up to 4 players with huge weapons go and fight big monsters. After your hunt, you go back to town, use the materials from the monsters to upgrade your gear, and then accept another mission. Rinse and repeat until your eyes burn. Sunbreak was the first big expansion for Monster Hunter Rise, and it added a new difficulty along with increasingly hard missions at endgame. 2 new locations, a bunch of new monsters, and more armor sets. Long story short, it made a fantastic game even better. Monster Hunter is one of my favorite games to play solo or with friends, and there really aren't many faults that I can think of with this version. And there you have it. Those were my favorite games I played during 2022. Some big titles, some small titles, and a few different genres mixed in. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite games were that you played last year. That being said, I'm really looking forward to a lot of the games that are coming out in the second half of this year. So if you don't follow me already, make sure to subscribe here on YouTube and check out my other socials. I stream a few days each week on Twitch, and I post short videos on TikTok. Let's keep on gaming, and I'll catch you in the next one.